Looking for nerdy news? You're in the right place.
Oh, great. This guy's gonna be late again.
This is the Nerdy News Rundown.
I got plenty of time.
On today's show, Jessica Jones, what's the deal with the villain and will we see Killgrave? The DCEU, Tom Cruise as Hal Jordan? It might be a thing. Star Wars Rebels, why Dave Filoni gets it and should probably be in charge of Lucasfilm. We're going over all of that plus your questions.
I'm gonna be late!
I'm your host, Josh Lucas, broadcasting live from Due to inclement weather conditions, today's show will not be taped at Uncanny and instead will be taped from the safety of Josh's house. Yes, I did just speak in the third person. Let's get this show started. Hello, all of you beautiful nerds around the world. What is up? It's Josh, and yeah, as you saw in the intro, I'm not in Uncanny, and you could probably obviously tell. I'm not in Uncanny. I'm at my house because we're going through a blizzard, a nor'easter over here in the Philadelphia parts. To be completely honest with you, it's sort of waxing and waning. Like, it'll be totally okay, and the roads are not terrible, but it's really supposed to start picking up, and it's going to snow all day. So I talked to Rob about it yesterday and was just like, well, I think I might broadcast from home tomorrow, and we should be back to regular scheduled programming tomorrow. So that's all. I still want to shout out Uncanny, even though I'm not there. They're pretty dope. If you're in the area and you can be safe, go over and get some comics. It's free comic book day, and we're going to go over some comics, as you can see on the docket over here. Bleep, 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 beep. That's where. And I'm excited to talk about some comics. There's a book particular that I really want to focus on, a new Robert Kirkman book, so we're going to get into all of that. But one more time, I need to do a shameless plug, guys, because it is New Comic Book Day. So check this out. These are the images of my Cyberpunk Robin Hood book. You might be sick of hearing me talk about it, but this book is available digitally right now. You can get the PDF. It's really high quality stuff. I'm super proud of it. If you like science fiction, if you like some of the things that I say, maybe you might find this book interesting. So I just wanted to once again plug that one more time. Everybody go check it out. Link in the description below. Okay, now let's get into the official first topic of the day. This has to do with Jessica Jones Season 2. So, Jessica Jones Season 2 drops tomorrow, which is in conjunction with International Women's Day. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to Jessica Jones, but the big question that I wanted to tackle was who's the villain in Season 2? Now, here's the thing. If you have not watched Season 1 of Jessica Jones, I highly recommend that you do that. It is an awesome show. I was blown away by it. And Killgrave was one of the best villains I've ever seen in live action anything. He absolutely crushed it, was an incredible villain, really crazy. Now, something happens to him. I don't want to spoil it. Something happens to him at the end of Season 1 that makes you think there's no way he'll come back in Season 2. You can just kind of read between the lines about what I'm saying there. Let me sip from my R2-D2 mug of coffee real quick. It's a nice coffee. Shout out to my little sister that got me that. Anyway, Killgrave, awesome. We don't know if he's going to be back. They've teased him a little bit in the promotional material, right? So there's been his voice sort of in some of the trailers. There's some purple in some of the trailers, and everybody's wondering, man, is Killgrave going to be in there? But Killgrave is at least not going to be the main villain of Season 2, okay? So there is a character being played by Janet McTeer who is going to be the main villain of this series. And if you look at a lot of the promotional material, the way they're playing it is this person is going to be connected to the program or the facility or whatever that did the experiments on Jessica to create her, to give her her powers. Now, we've seen in some of the material that it's sort of talking about how she came back to life and they brought her back to life, and the powers that she got were sort of a result of that. And I've read some interviews with Miss McTee, and it really does seem like there's some physicality involved in this role. And so I think that this person is going to be like a counterpart to Jessica Jones that also has the powers, and they're going to literally fight. And so there's some kind of big murder mystery going on. Jessica's trying to figure it out, dealing with her own stuff, you know what I mean? And I think that this person's going to end up being the main villain. And I'm intrigued by that for a couple of different reasons. One, this lady's much older, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see how that sort of plays out, because you wouldn't maybe expect her to be the physical, person that can battle with Jessica, but it looks like that's going to be the case. So I'm interested to see how they pull off the physicality. The choreography for the fights in most of the Netflix shows is really off the charts. So I'm excited to see how that all goes out there. But it's also kind of an interesting dilemma and thing for Jessica to deal with. It's quite literally her past, someone that has a connection similar to this program or whatever it was that she has, right? So that's very interesting. And from what I'm hearing, because the press got a hold of 5 episodes to review, there's no Killgrave in the first 5 episodes. And so the majority of the focus will be on this mysterious villain, this mysterious villain. And so I'm totally okay with that. I do hope there's a little bit of Killgrave at the end of the episode, and there's a possibility that he is perhaps pulling some strings, which would be interesting, or at the very least, he is still within the psyche of Jessica. He is still psychologically involved in what is going on with her and her process. So I'm pretty interested in who this villain could be. Jessica Jones season 1, like I said, amazing. Very excited to see Jessica Jones season 2. The reason Jessica is such an interesting character is that she is so flawed. She is so clearly flawed. And I know a lot of people are like, man, I want to see her stop drinking. I want to see her get her shit together. I really don't. She's a beautiful mess. And I love that. I actually write a character that's very similar. He's like a male counterpart, different in a lot of ways, but he essentially, oh goodness, has a lot of problems. He's got stuff that he does wrong. He's got addictions. He's got things that he struggles with. And so I like that in a character, and Jessica is that. She's this beautiful mess. She's very exciting to watch, so I'm pretty pumped to check out some episodes tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be able to catch all of them. In fact, I guarantee you I won't, because I'm just too busy, but I should be rolling out some reviews, maybe be able to talk to you guys about that stuff later on next week. But I'm interested. What do you guys think about Jessica Jones? What do you think about the season 2 villain? Would you really love to see Killgrave in there the same way that I do? Or are you okay with this female, whoever this person is, and that whole intrigue? Because I do think that that's pretty interesting, finding someone that has the same kind of powers that she has, that is involved with that group. It's very interesting. So I'm pretty pumped. Let me know what you think about all of that in the comment section below, guys, okay? Now let's get into our next topic. Now this is kind of an interesting thing here, because we spoke about this yesterday on the show. If you remember, we went over Christopher McQuarrie being eyed to write and direct the Green Lantern Corps movie, okay? And that Green Lantern Corps movie, I just said in there kind of off the cuff, man, maybe they are trying to get Tom Cruise for this thing. Wouldn't that be interesting? Tom Cruise as a Green Lantern. And we spoke about that a little bit yesterday, but apparently this is a big hot button topic of the day. And so the internet has sort of responded to the possibility of Tom Cruise being this Green Lantern, and the response has been overwhelmingly negative. Leave it to the internet, right? Leave it to the internet to be optimistic about something. No, of course not. And so they were really pissed about Tom Cruise being the Green Lantern. A lot of funny memes and GIFs. Do yourself a favor. Go on Twitter and search for it. And some of the people that put out the reports, like Screen Rant, if you look at the post they made and just scroll down and look at all the GIFs, it's really funny. Now, how much of this is people just kind of looking for an opportunity to put some funny GIFs on there and just have a good time, and how much of it is serious? I'd say it's probably a good bit of people that are seriously pissed about the prospect of Tom Cruise being a Green Lantern. And that's why I wanted to do this segment. I wanted to sort of focus on this for our second topic and get into this with you guys, because, as I said yesterday, I'd love Tom Cruise to play Hal Jordan, and that does look like the way that it would go. And I think that some people were saying online that he doesn't really necessarily fit their vision for what Hal Jordan is, and I can see that, but there's a way that they could do this movie in which it's a little bit more serious, I guess, even though they're supposedly trying to get away from the David S. Goyer type of vibe and the Zack Snyder vibe in the DCEU. You know, he is a military pilot, Hal Jordan. And so it would be interesting to see that aspect of him, because if you look at like Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible movies and the Jack Reacher movies, he does that stoic badass thing really, really well. But guys, don't forget him in Tropic Thunder, right? In Tropic Thunder as that Les Grossman character, he's one of the funniest characters in all of cinema. I absolutely love that movie, and I love his portrayal in there. So he can be funny, and even in some of his other movies, he has some humorous moments. And so the beauty of a blend for the Hal Jordan character is that Hal is kind of a goofball, right? He's kind of, you know, a cocky fly boy, right? And full of ego and all these different things. And yet he has the ability to snap into really serious moments. He's got a big, big heart, and he wants to do the right thing. And so he's a morally sound character, but with a lot of humor, a lot of sarcasm, and different things like that. I think Cruise has the range for that, and I think that he would be able to really knock it out of the park on both ends of the emotional spectrum. But on top of that, the fact that it's going buddy cop, some of his best moments in the Mission Impossible movies are his interactions with his team. And so I think the buddy cop version, especially if you get the right actor, and I'm really pulling, pardon me, for Idris Elba. You know, Rob and I were in agreement about that yesterday. Idris Elba and Tom Cruise, Green Lantern Corps. Let's do this thing. That would be so dope. And so I think that if you get a high caliber actor in there to play across from him, you'll be able to pull out a really great performance from both of them. And Tom Cruise wouldn't be all Tom Cruisey on it. So I don't know, man. It just feels like people want to put actors in a sort of box, and they don't like, you know, the idea of Tom being involved. Here's another aspect of it that I want to throw at you guys. If Warner Brothers and the DC films are really trying to like turn the corner, take a slightly different approach to this thing, and get some butts in the seats, because that's the thing, man. Justice League made total crap money, total crap money, especially when you compare it to some of the other MCU. I mean, look at what Black Panther's doing. If you would have told me like 5 years ago that the Black Panther movie would be outgrossing the Justice League movie, I would just be like, you're insane. You're insane in the membrane. That doesn't make any sense. It's the Justice League. It's got the biggest heavy hitters for a comic book division that has over 75 years of history. You're crazy. Black Panther's doing it, man. Kudos to Ryan Coogler, everybody involved with that film. Holy cow, what a success. But point being, when we love these things, we want to go to the movies, and we want other people to sit in this big dark room with us, watch the thing that we love, and also have a good time. We want them to enjoy it and us to enjoy it. And then we can get in those little conversations afterwards. We know more stuff because we're big nerds. They're curious because they really like the movie. That's the dynamic. That's the stuff that I love. It's actually why I do this channel and why I do the things that I do. It's because I love that aspect of it. You know what I mean? Being really nerdy and bringing value to people that also happen to like the stuff that we like. So, you know, that's an important aspect of it. And if they go the Tom Cruise route, Tom is still a huge movie star. And, you know, there's a lot of discussion that is being had about whether or not the age of the movie star is over. And what that means is like, is the movie star itself the thing that will bring the attention to the theater, right? Do these personalities have enough weight to put butts in seats? And I don't know. I mean, you can argue that is sort of disappearing. Tom Cruise is one of the people where that still happens. He is a huge draw to a lot of the films that he is in. So if you literally make Tom Cruise the face of this movie, you know, with a guy like Idris Elba, and then you use that star power to sort of leverage and get people involved, that's going to be good for the franchise. So, you know, I know, look, you're allowed to have your opinions. You're totally allowed to feel the way that you feel about these sort of things. But I just feel like it's Papa Josh's job to talk to all of you and be like, look, guys, I would calm down a little bit about this Tom Cruise thing. There's ways that A, he could kill it, and B, it would be very good for the franchise and for the studio if he did it. So those are my thoughts. I want to know your thoughts, of course, in the comment section below. Guys, hit me up, and hit me up with some questions. If you have questions about this topic, or anything in fandom, please leave that stuff in the comment section below, because I'm always looking to do questions on the show. So, you know, if you drop a question on this video, I'll literally answer it on the show tomorrow. So hit me up with a question. But I definitely want to know, what do you guys think about this Tom Cruise business? Are you in the camp of all the memers out there that were like, no freaking way, like don't do this? Or can you see some of the points that I was bringing up? Really curious to hear what all of you guys think about that in the comment section below. All right, let's get into our next topic. The third topic of the day. This has to do with Star Wars Rebels, which of course had its finale on Monday. I didn't get to watch it on Monday. I watched it last night and I was blown away, absolutely blown away. But here's the thing. We're not going to get into spoilers on this because I'm going to do other videos that are very heavy with spoilers, breaking down different aspects of it. There's going to be a Nerds Talk Star Wars episode this Sunday. By the way, guys, every Sunday is Star Wars Day here on the Den of Nerds. I do a big bonus video, which is like a pre-produced, well-thought-out video, and then I do an episode of Nerds Talk Star Wars every Sunday night. So you're going to want to come back on Sundays. That is where I will do the majority of the spoilery talk for Star Wars Rebels. But this topic, the way I wanted to approach this was to talk about Dave Filoni and talk about why I think the finale of Rebels perfectly illustrates why he gets it and why he should be the guy at Lucasfilm. This is something that's been going on for a little while here. Everybody's been talking about this. Christian Harloff has been the flag waver for this whole thing. He has been very passionately talking about on Jedi Council and different episodes on Collider on why Dave Filoni should be in charge of Lucasfilm. And he did a sweet interview. It was like a 20-minute interview with Dave Filoni when they were there to watch the finale. Please go check that out, man. Go check that out. Really, really loved that interview. And I'm a huge fan of Dave Filoni. Went to the same college as Dave. He had a big influence on me when he came back and spoke to all of us about the show and about George and his experience with Star Wars. But I felt like some things happened in this episode that sort of illustrate why Dave should be in charge of this. I really do believe this. And one of the things was, I think he provided a really great Star Wars-y ending. And what I mean by that is there's not a lot of doom and gloom. Some bad things happen, but at the end of the day, the heroes have a victory and a lot of good things happen. You get stories resolved. There's a lot of fun to be had with it. And I think that can't be understated. And so even though Dave does some things in the episode that are, questionable, if you would have just told me on paper that this was going to happen, I might have been like, raise an eyebrow. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about that. But the way that he does it, it feels so right and in line with the characters. Not only that, but he ties in so many things from previous episodes, previous seasons, and other material in the canon. Like there's stuff from the Thrawn novel that is front and center in the finale of this episode. It plays a major role and it helps you understand the characters. You feel as a fan that you're rewarded for your love of the canon and seeking these things out and being really into Star Wars. It fills out your experience, makes it even more impactful. And at the end of the day, what he was able to do was really just give us an ending that respected the fans. It literally respected our love of these things. And the main problem with the show, and I shouldn't say problem, but I guess obstacle that they sort of had to overcome was, well, we are setting this before the original trilogy. We gotta know, why aren't these characters playing a big role? Why don't we see them in the movies, especially Ezra and Kanan, right? Ezra and Kanan being Jedis, being Force users, and not being around when we really need Jedi and Force users to fight the Emperor and Vader, that's a problem, right? Or an obstacle, rather. And I felt like it was handled in such a way that made sense. It answers those questions, and yet you don't feel like it detracts at all. You don't feel like it's a cheap move. None of that stuff enters the play. And even though Dave takes risks as a storyteller, he respects the fandom, gives us what we want. And so I don't know. There's, like I said, I don't want to go into spoilers, but I just felt like the episode perfectly illustrated why he should be in charge of Lucasfilm. And as Christian has been saying and stuff, like, Kathy's a great producer. Kathy Kennedy is a great producer. She's all-time great. She has great relationships with these different creative entities in Hollywood and different things like that. And I get that. But I think as far as someone who understands Star Wars itself and the fan base, because let's just be completely real. Let's just put it out there on the table. The fandom is divided right now. I see it in the comment section on my videos. I see it on Collider's channel. I see it all over the web. Divided right now. And look, a lot of you that watch my videos that are up with what I'm doing in Star Wars, you're on the side that is still okay with what is happening. And I'd like to believe that I've been very fair to both sides. I actually am a fan of what's going on. I love Lucasfilm, Disney, Star Wars. I really do. But there's some things that they can do better. And I think that The Last Jedi did have problems, and it did do some things that didn't consider the fans' perspectives. And so that if that's really the problem, right? If that's really the issue, having someone that literally studied at the feet of George Lucas, that was George's Padawan, that is the benefit. That's what I think we need as a Star Wars community. And so I wanted to sort of just touch on this. If you've seen Rebels, if you've seen the finale, or you've watched Clone Wars, or anything that Dave is involved with, I think you'll be able to understand where I'm coming from. And I do want to open it up to you guys and find out, what do you think? Like, did you watch the finale? And let's keep it spoiler light, guys. No spoilers in the comments for people, but let's just talk about Dave and if Mr. Filoni should be in charge of Star Wars in a higher capacity, and what do you think that would look like, okay? So that's all I wanted to touch on with this topic. Not going to get too crazy in depth here, but I definitely want to know, what do you guys think? Like, what do you think about that, about the finale and about Dave Filoni in general, being maybe more in charge of the Star Wars? Because I'd really, really like that. All right, so let's get into our last topic, our last official topic of the day. This has to do with comic books, okay? So I got this picture up on the screen because this is a new comic book by Robert Kirkman, and I definitely want to talk about all of that. But let's just run you through a couple things that are coming out today from the big publishers. So White Knight, the Sean Gordon Murphy, where the Joker is sort of the hero, that story at DC has its next installment that comes out today. By the way, I was totally wrong last week when I said it came out last week. That was just a variant that they got reprinted over there at Uncanny. But White Knight comes out today. Very, very excited for that. That looks really, really cool. There's also the Infinity Countdown #1 at Marvel. This is leading into their big event, heading towards Fresh Start. And then there's X-Men Red and X-Men Gold. Now, I haven't been reading the X-Men books, to be completely honest with you, but these covers look dope. I might go in on these covers. I have to probably get re-inundated with what's going on with the X-Men. I literally have not been following the X-Men comics for a long, long time because they've been sort of whack, in my opinion, in the last 5 years. So maybe I'll jump back on that. But those are some of the big books that are going on out there at Marvel. But let me put this image back up here because this is the book I want to spend the most time talking about, okay? This is a book by Robert Kirkman, who is, of course, the guy that invented The Walking Dead, which was one of the most popular television shows of all time. It's sort of taken a nosedive in ratings lately, and I think there's a lot of reasons why. But Kirkman was a Marvel comic book writer. He then moved to Image, was working on The Walking Dead, and literally, like, not making much money at all. It gets picked up by AMC. The rest is history. Bada boom, bada bing. Really, really big, deal. But Kirkman, he had ended one of his series called Invincible. It was something that people were really, really into for a long, long time. And he said he had a new book coming out, a new property he was working on. This book comes out today, issue #1. It is called Oblivion Song. I read this book earlier this morning and I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away. It just showcases the talent as a storyteller and as a world builder that Kirkman has. It has a great story with great characters, and I'll briefly describe what the plot is real quick here and talk about why I think you're going to love it. So essentially, it has to do with this thing called the Oblivion, which is like a dimension or a place that all of these people randomly get sent to. So something happens, there's this event. You don't get all the information in the comic, but what you can put together is that there's this place called Oblivion. It's been taken over by like monsters and crazy other dimension type animals and stuff. And a big portion of our population gets just transported there, right? And we're like, what the hell? This is crazy. And then there was this team of people that are going in there and rescuing these people and bringing them back to our dimension, right? And so I honestly, it's such a weird, idea, but the main story focuses on a character that is there saving people seemingly on his own. And the government had a program and it stopped funding it. And this guy's trying to prove to the government that no, they should start funding him again. He can go find these people, bring them back. And there's, I don't want to give it all away. You should go read it. Just the way that he ties in the characters, the relationships that they have, it's just, it shows just not only just great cartooning, like rock and roll cartooning, great writing, great characters, and great world building. I'm so drawn in. I cannot wait for the next issue. Your classic splash page cliffhanger at the end of the book. So exciting, so cool. And so that's a little bit of Oblivion Song. And you even find out why it's called Oblivion Song in the book. So cool. Just so freaking cool, guys. And so if you're a fan of Walking Dead, if you're a fan of comics, if you're a fan of Kirkman or just good storytelling, go check out Oblivion Song. I'm giving it a very, very big recommendation and potentially could be a new show. I mean, a lot of what Robert touches turns to gold on the silver screen or on television. So, I would not be surprised if we see a movie or television version of Oblivion Song down the road. And so, you want to be an early adapter. You want to jump on that as soon as you can. Because I think it's going to be really, really huge, okay? So let me know what you think about all the comics. Are you reading something that you really think I should be reading? Definitely hit me up with that kind of information. I'd be excited to talk to you guys about that. And if you're going to go read Oblivion Song, let me know what you thought of it. Come back, comment on this video, and let me know what you thought of it because I really, really like it. And I love talking to people about, cool things. So that's kind of where my head's at with it, all right? So let's get into some fan questions. I only have one fan question, and I'll pull up this person so I can give them credit. Okay, so this question comes from Andrea Weston. She says, enjoying these new shows. Any plans on having guests? I love when you and James from Rebel Scum do Star Wars videos. Thanks. So first of all, Andrea, thank you so much for the comment and for the question. I'm glad you like the show. So I wanted to take this opportunity to sort of talk to you guys about the future of the show, what I'm doing with this. What is this? It's so different than what we did all last year on the Den of Nerds. So people have responded very positively about it. And so I wanted to sort of talk to you guys about what's going on with it. So a couple of different things. First of all, do I want to have guests? 100%. 1,000%. In fact, James and I have talked about this because, look, I don't think it's a big secret. James and I absolutely love collaborating together. And to be completely honest with you, James, I'm trying to figure out a way that James and I can do a lot more content together. And I'd love to bring him on in a higher capacity on the Den of Nerds because he's awesome. And he's one of my very good friends. And I love it. I talk to him all the time. So I love to have him involved. Here's the problem. It doesn't make sense to do the show with him on Skype on my computer. So the way we'd have to make it work because... and I'll get to this in a second, but because we want to have a live audience in the store, in order for that to work, we would need like a screen. Like I would need like a computer screen. The best way I can say it is like Space Ghost, really. I would need a Space Ghost screen and have him there and have his audio plugged in still through OBS so we could stream it and record it. And so that people in the crowd could hear him and then that wouldn't get picked up on the mics. And so I think you're starting to see like what the problem would be with that. I think that we will figure that out maybe in the next couple of weeks, maybe in the next couple of months. But what my priority really is getting some guests that will actually be able to come in. And so I joke with James all the time. I say, James, hey man, you want to take a flight to Philly and come do the show with me tomorrow? And I think that he would. Like if money wasn't a factor, he would totally do it. But that's tricky, right? And so what I'm working on is getting some people, some big personalities in the Philadelphia area, in the tri-state area over here that are really into comics, maybe some comic book writers, artists, people that I know through my job as a comic book editor and a writer. And so that's kind of where the direction is. I want to have people come into the store and do the show there, right? And so I would really like to have some guests like that. James and I are always going to collaborate and do videos. But as far as on the show itself, that's sort of where my head's at with it. Now, this kind of takes us into the next part, which is, well, what's the future of the show? Like, what does this look like? What's this going to be? You guys are sort of watching this as a science experiment. So we haven't even really promoted the show yet because there's still bugs we're trying to figure out. Like yesterday was a good example. We tried to do a live stream. Some of you even watched that live stream and it just failed, right? And so we have to figure out what's going on. Is it the internet in the store because it all has to go through the mall and Comcast and it eats up a lot of bandwidth? Is it something to do with my computer? Do I not have the right settings for the output on the stream? And so, these are things that we have to work through because, to be completely honest with you, it is literally just me doing the show. Like I come in, I write it, I make the graphics, I come up with the topics, I set it up, and I do all the recording, all the productions, all the edits are in camera through OBS. So, when you see the images pop up, when the tracker, moves the yellow thing, that's all me. And so that comes with challenges, right? I have to figure out how I'm able to do that, navigate it. And so the bottom line is what we worked on very hard was getting the workflow down of the show. Right now, we can record to tape, live to tape, and then I can upload it with pretty much ease, and I can do all of that on my own. And so as we move forward, we're looking to do stuff with a live audience to get people in there. And so Rob and I had a meeting yesterday. We're going to have another meeting next week. We have proposals and ideas to bring people that are in the area and have them come onto the show and give them some added value, some added benefit. And so they can literally, answer some trivia questions to get a coupon, right? And I'll do that for you guys as well. Like you guys are going to get a benefit watching online, but for the live people, they could get a coupon, $5 of merchandising money or store credit right then and there if they answer the question correctly. Also, I want to have people bring questions, maybe come behind the camera, literally be on camera with me. They answer a question and then they're on camera, they're on the show, and all of you guys get to see them, hang out with them, and I answer their question right then and there. And so that is sort of something that we're working on next. So the beginning was the workflow. The next things for me are like, can we live stream? If we can't live stream every day, can we do at least one day a week where I'm live streaming to really hang out with you guys live in the moment, get your feedback right then and there, answer questions right then and there. That's kind of what I want to do. So the live streaming and also getting the live audience involved in the store, that's what we're working on next. And then after that, what happens is we promote. Like we're going to email blast out all of Uncanny's people, all of our people, which, by the way, hit me up in the comment section if you want to be a part of our email list. I will get that sorted out, and we'll get a cool little bonus to you guys if you want to be a part of that. And we're also going to be launching a Patreon soon. And the Patreon is designed because, look, the Den of Nerds and everything that I do, everything that we're doing is an independent endeavor. And so the whole idea with this is that what I wanted to do was create a thing where fans make content for other fans. And, look, the past 2 years, I've learned a lot about this. I've learned a lot about YouTube. And as a brand, what we want to do is make content out there. But the reason we're not like IGN or even Collider to a degree or Nerdist or any of these things is because we are not journalists, right? We are not like these elitist professionals, and not all of them are like this, but a lot of them are. And so what I wanted to represent is a fan's fan and being like truly a fan and building a community with you guys. So it's really important to me that we would build this community. And so the Patreon, what that's going to be is literally a way for you guys to get behind the scenes stuff where you'll see like, what are we doing? What are we doing as a company? What are our plans? What are we brainstorming on? What are the stuff we want to do? You'll get to contribute, money to literally help us to be able to do some of these things, but you'll also be able to see and have a voice and have a vote in which way we go. What are we going to do, right? Because the people that support us the most with their actual money, I want them to have a voice in the direction of where we go as a company and as a YouTube channel, as a website, everything. And so that will be a big, big help. If we get Patreon going and people, we have a little bit of income, then we can perhaps figure out a better way to get James on the show more. You know what I mean? Have more segments where we go out into Philly or in the mall and interview people with a good mic and get them to answer questions, like, the Jay Leno stuff, stuff like that. So that is the idea. And we'll be launching that kind of stuff soon. But I just wanted to sort of address Andrea's question, and maybe a question that a lot of you had about, like, what is this thing? What's this show? What is Josh doing, right? Why is he in that comic book shop 5 days a week, doing a video talking about nerdy things? This is all for you guys. This is the kind of stuff that I thought you would really like, and the direction I want to start to go in as a channel and as a company. So I wanted to address that question and sort of give you guys a little tidbit on what was happening. So thank you. Let me know, what you think about all of that. And please leave me more questions. I'd love to go over what you want to talk about in a future show. So put your questions in the comment section below. Guys, that's going to do it for today. Surviving, man, it's really coming down out there. It's pretty crazy right now. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Alrighty? Bye-bye.